Ugh, looks like I'm ending this month broke again. I have no idea where all my money went. Do you know any app can help with that?
I used to try a bunch of expense tracking apps, but most of them were too basic. They just couldn't handle what I needed. Then I found DailyMoneyOne. It's a long-running expense tracking app. The software engineer who built it originally couldn't find a tool he liked, so he decided to make one himself. He used it personally and also shared it with everyone for free.
Seriously, isn't expense tracking just writing down what you spent every day? I've tried that, but honestly, after entering everything, I still didn't know what to do with it, so I eventually stopped. And what kind of needs did you have that were so hard to satisfy?
What you're describing is just the most basic cash book. Most expense tracking apps only tell you how much you spent, then summarize how much went to food, clothing, housing, and transportation each month. But with DailyMoneyOne, you don't just record transactions. You can see your yearly income, monthly spending, unpaid credit card debt, current cash, and bank balances all in one place. This app is designed around accounting principles. Of course, you can still use it as a simple cashbook app, but it can do way more than that.
That sounds pretty powerful. Can you give me a concrete example?
First, the most practical feature in the whole system, hierarchical accounts. You can freely classify accounts using dots. For example, my own setup has food.meals and food.dining-out, or housing.rent and housing.utilities.
What's the benefit of setting it up like that?
When you look at monthly reports, each individual account gets totaled, and the app also automatically summarizes the parent virtual accounts. You get a much clearer picture of your finances. At a glance, you can easily see how much you spent on food versus housing. Basically, you can see exactly which area is eating up your money. And it also supports weekly, monthly, yearly, and custom range balance reports.
That would really help me understand my spending. What if I go on a big shopping trip and put everything on one credit card charge? There might be groceries, household supplies, and even electronics in the same purchase. How would I record that? I feel like very few apps support that kind of bookkeeping. Either you record one transaction and can't split the details, or you record several transactions and the credit card amount doesn't match.
That's where one-to-many splitting comes in. It's a huge help when you're tracking spending. In the past, you had to choose between one vague transaction and several separate ones. Now you don't have to. You can split one transaction directly inside the app into several different expense items, as long as the total amount matches. From the expense side, it's multiple items. From the credit card side, it's still just one charge, fast and accurate.
That is ridiculously useful. But a lot of people get paid at the beginning of the month and immediately start spending, then accidentally empty their wallet. Does this app help with that?
You can set a recurring budget limit for any account or parent virtual account, like a monthly budget for food. Once it's set, the reports will show how much of your budget you've used and what percentage that is. You can also add expense accounts you care about to the home screen. That way, every time you open the app to record a transaction, you'll immediately see how much you still have left to spend this month.
Sounds very complete. But with this many features, is the logic behind the app really complicated?
At its core, it uses the accounting concept of double entry bookkeeping. I know that sounds intimidating, but don't worry. The whole secret is just one core idea: track money as it moves between accounts. In other words, cash flow. Imagine money as water, and each account as a bucket. When water flows from one bucket to another, that's a change in your finances. The total doesn't magically change. If this side goes up, that side has to go down. That's all it is. If you're interested, I can show you how to use it right now.
Sure. I never really track my money. I've been working for years, but I still don't know where it all goes. And I haven't saved much either, so this is a good chance to finally understand my finances.
First, go to Google Play, search for DailyMoneyOne, then download and install it. Don't pick the deprecated Daily Money Plus. That's the older version. It probably still works, but it hasn't been maintained since 2018, so don't install the wrong one. Quick heads up. This app was independently developed by one engineer in his spare time. There wasn't a visual designer polishing the interface. So visually, it may not be the flashiest app in the store. But feature-wise, it's honestly excellent. Once you understand the core logic, it's easy to get the hang of. It's extremely flexible whether you want to manage personal money or household spending. It can handle all of it beautifully.
Okay, I've downloaded and installed it. Teach me how to use it.
First, you should set your current cash and bank balances so the app can calculate the correct totals. Of course, you can skip this step for now and come back to it later when you have time. Just know that the total balance for accounts with starting values like cash and bank accounts won't be quite right until you set them. Let's set the cash you have on hand first. You can set up your bank accounts later.
Sure, otherwise you'll find out how broke I really am. I only have $10 on me right now. Then what?
Next, let's talk about the cash flow situations you'll run into most often. For example, on payday, you record one transaction from income salary to asset bank.a. Wow, $8,000 a month. I don't think that counts as broke. Then let's say you withdraw $200 from the bank. You record one transaction from asset bank.a to asset cash. See? Now your cash has $210. Coffee is on you today.
Of course! So for today's coffee and snacks, I record one transaction from asset cash to expense food. Dining out, right? Let me try. I can see the correct cash balance right on the home screen. And from the balance sheet, I can also see my current income, expenses, and bank balances. Nice. But what if the current expense accounts don't include a category I want?
You can create a new expense account yourself. You can also create accounts of any other type. The idea is simple. Pick the account the money comes from, and the account it goes to. Everything else can be handled by the app.
I buy tech gadgets pretty often. Let's create a new expense electronics account. What about the thing everyone gets stuck on? Credit cards. When I swipe the card, the money hasn't actually left my bank yet.
The credit card logic is super clear too. The moment you buy something with a credit card, the money flows from liability, credit card, to an expense account. In other words, you first record all your monthly credit card spending under the liability credit card account. Then next month, when you pay the credit card bill, you record another transaction, usually from asset bank to liability credit card, to offset it. And that's it. Let's use an example. Say you go to a phone store and buy a phone with your credit card. You record it from liability, credit card.a to expense electronics. and it costs $1,000.
A $1,000 liability, so now I know exactly how much I owe on my credit card. That's super convenient. So next time I pay my credit card bill, I just check how much I need to pay. Then record one transaction from asset bank.a to liability credit card.a, right?
Exactly. You got it. As long as you keep thinking in terms of cash flow, the app can generate a clear balance sheet for you. Looking at that sheet, you can clearly see how much cash you have, how much is in the bank, and how much credit card debt you're carrying. That's how you really get an accurate picture of your personal net worth.
Does it have charts? Dense numbers are hard to read at a glance.
It does. It includes pie charts and bar charts, plus more advanced trend charts. These visual charts make it much easier to understand your financial situation.
But a lot of spending happens over and over. Entering every single transaction one by one sounds annoying.
Haha, the developer is lazy in the best way. So he thought of that too. That's what templates and schedules are for. For example, I buy coffee every morning. I can take yesterday's coffee transaction and create a template from it. After that, I can long press start and reuse that template to record it in seconds.
What about fixed expenses, like rent or subscriptions? Especially subscriptions. They charge automatically and I don't even notice. I forget all the time.
For salary, monthly rent, or subscriptions like Netflix, you can set up a scheduled template. When the time comes, the app sends you a notification. Tap it once, hit create, and you're done. It also automatically schedules the next one. No more forgetting payments.
That sounds really convenient. What if I want to keep my personal finances separate from a shared fund?
Just create a new book. The app supports multiple books. You can completely separate your personal book from a shared fund book, and you can even create separate books for investments, foreign currency, or travel. All your transactions stay clean and don't interfere with each other.
When traveling abroad, how do you handle currency exchange?
It can handle that too. Besides multiple books, it also supports transfers across books. For example, if you're exchanging US dollars for yen before a trip to Japan, you can create a yen travel book. Since exchange rates change every day, the app doesn't force the two amounts in a cross-book transaction to match exactly. You can freely enter the actual foreign currency amount you received and handle conversions between different currencies.
After hearing all these features, DailyMoneyOne must be a paid app, right?
Wrong. DailyMoneyOne is completely free. There are no limits where it suddenly asks you to pay halfway through, and there are no caps on the number of transactions or books. Besides backing up your data to the Google Drive, it also lets you export your data to Excel or other open file formats. Your data won't be locked inside the app, so you're stuck without it later.
Wow, that's seriously generous.
So how does the developer make a living?
According to the developer, there are a few ads, hopefully enough to buy a few treats for his cats. So if you're happy with the app, and you occasionally see an ad that doesn't bother you, give it a tap as a tiny cloud snack. Anyway, that's how I track my money now. I genuinely recommend giving it a try. Daily Money has been around since 2011, from the original version to Daily Money Plus in 2018, and now DailyMoneyOne. It even has fans who have stuck with it for over 10 years.
Nice. If you find it useful, definitely go to the Google Play Store and leave a 5-star review to encourage this hardworking independent developer, or share it with your friends.
And feel free to share this video with friends who need a better way to track their money. I'm Nana.
I'm Dennis.
Next time we'll share more useful Daily Money features.